Have you ever heard the story of the 14-month-old baby who saved 3 lives? It's no heroic tale of superhuman strength or anything but a tragedy gone right. When Colby Cassini drowned, his family took it upon themselves to donate their son's organs, saving the lives of a 27-year-old man, a 2-year-old girl, and a 5-month-old boy. Being an organ donor is one of the most selfless things you can partake in. The need for organ donors is constantly growing and is extremely easy to do. After extensive research and numerous books and articles, I have come to know the reality of organ donation. Imagine 122,585 people in one room together. That's more than the Michigan Stadium can hold, which is the largest stadium in the U.S. and the 3rd largest stadium in the world. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services official organ donation website, that's how many people are waiting on a list for an organ that could save their lives. Clinical researcher Thomas Harder defines organ donation as when an individual or surrogate willingly makes an uncoerced choice to allow the individual's viable organs to be given as a gift to a transplant patient. About 18 people on the waiting list die each day due to lack of organs. Even though organ donation has quadrupled in the last 30 to 40 years, with numbers of about 6,900 donations in 1984 growing to about 26,000 in 2014, it is still way below the nation's need. If no one fought the option to donate their organs after their death, thousands of sick people would be given the chance to live. So now let me tell you how you can become an organ donor. The first and most important step of organ donation is to talk to your family and loved ones. Make sure they know what you want, whether it's officially in writing in regard to organ donation. Also make sure they understand your decision so they can make peace with it before it's too late. The next step is to register. When you register for a driver's license, a question they ask is if you want to be an organ donor. Checking that box yes is one of the first steps in the most universally known ways to become an organ donor. Each state varies on this process, on how it's done. Another way to register is online. Doing it this way also allows you to specify limitations on what you wish to donate. You can do this on the Donate Life website, donatelife.net, or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services website, organdonor.gov. But these are only a few of the places. The next step is to carry out a filled out and signed organ donor card or have it designated on your driver's license. This will allow doctors and medical personnel to know quickly if you are a donor or not, because time is so limited in relation to loss of life and when the organs are viable for transplantation. The last step is to realize that what you have decided to do is going to save so many people. Every person can save up to 8 lives if they choose to donate. Now that you know how to become an organ donor, let me tell you about the benefits of the sacrifice you are making to help those in need. Imagine this. In the summer of 2007, a woman's normal pregnancy was suddenly interrupted in her 3rd trimester when she was diagnosed with a rare and serious condition called HELLP syndrome, which resulted in her son's premature birth by C-section to save both of their lives. Her son Carter's early months were spent in the hospital, requiring ventilators to help him breathe and around-the-clock specialized nursing care, eventually acquiring neocritizing enterocolitis, and left him dependent on IV nutrition. After 7.5 months on the neonatal ICU, Carter was diagnosed with liver failure and needed a transplant. They were told to go home and wait, but they were not okay with that and decided to participate in an experimental drug trial, which initially Carter showed tremendous progress in. However, a standard procedure went very wrong, and they soon learned Carter needed a multivisceral transplant. After an 8-hour surgery, he had 5 new organs: a liver, a pancreas, a spleen, stomach, small intestine, all from one organ donor. Carter is now 5 years old and living as a normal little boy. On the other side, on June 29, 1990, a young woman named Busy died in a terrible accident when she was 29 years old. A doctor approached her family in the hospital and asked if they would be willing to donate her organs. Although their immediate reaction was yes, they wanted to see if she had anything in place for this issue. Her fiancé went and found her driver's license and noticed that she did not list herself as a donor, so they were left with the decisions on their own. They agreed that Busy would have wanted to be part of the giving life process to those in need, and donated her heart, lungs, kidney, and liver. Since then, they have received letters through the Organ Donor Association from the heart recipient and have learned that because of Busy's gifts, the recipient was able to see her grandchildren be born, and they take great pleasure in knowing that she is doing well. Although her family lost someone they loved, the knowing that someone else is living a full life makes her death mean something. With these stories of organ donors and recipients, I know you have oppositions. In regard to living donors, the authors of Oxford journals, Go, Morrissey, Madras, and Manco, you may believe that it is unsafe and not worth the unnecessary risk of surgery on a healthy body. They claim, the appropriate concern is for the safety and welfare of the donor, particularly since the donor has a less favorable risk-benefit profile. Since the donor nephrectomy is a major surgical procedure, There is no doubt that living organ donation requires the intentional infliction of transient physical harm on these individuals. Although there is such risk in giving your viable organs up for someone else in need, there is also great service in it. Nephrologist Aaron Speidel said, many donors experience psychological and emotional benefits, including an improved quality of life and lasting increases in self-esteem as a result of knowledge that they have helped save a life. Even when donors do not reap these rewards, they may gain another that may be even more important. That is, seeing a loved one resurrected and then having that cherished person available for sharing the joys of life. People do it every day and the risks are there, but they are not as common as a full recovery. Like Julie Grimstead, the chair of the Pro-Life Healthcare Alliance and director of Life is Worth Giving, a controversy to take into consideration is the Uniform Anatomical Gift Act. She claims it allows for patients who have never consented to be organ donors to be considered prospective donors unless they explicitly refuse. This means if you have not explicitly refused, you may be subjected to potentially harmful measures done solely to preserve your organs for transplant or to determine if you are brain dead. These things can be done without your family's knowledge or permission. Your family may be left in the dark until asked for your organs. Although this is a common fear among people when it comes to donating, doctors are trained to know the protocol and what the appropriate situations are to make the decisions to take someone's organs. In a Journal of Healthcare Management, Allison Clemens wrote, "The Act draws a clear distinction between living and deceased donors and limits its authority to cadaveric donations. UAGA provides a standardized method of donating organs and other body parts to medicine." Now let me tell you why you need to be a donor. Community service is a great way to give back, but service shouldn't be about giving credit or achievement. A huge benefit of organ donation is the life you are saving. The family gets to keep their loved one when your family didn't get to keep you. Donation also allows the death of a loved one to feel as a sense of goodness in such tragedy. Death is one of the worst things to experience as a family member, but with donation, you can feel at ease knowing that even though such a bad thing happened, another family won't have to go through the same thing. There is also whole body donation. These bodies go towards education as human cadavers to give students a chance to learn on real bodies rather than animals or models. Education in this form produces more educated medical students and allows care to be more precise. Now go out and sign up to be a donor if you haven't already. Today I have told you about the importance of organ donation by reviewing with you information about the need, satisfaction, visual, and response to opposing views, and the call to action. The pure selflessness of donating your organs is a great sacrifice to make in order to save those around you if you couldn't save yourself. Miles Monroe said, "The value of life is not in duration, but it's in donation. You are not important because how long you live. You are important because how it affected you live." Any questions?